Yeah.
Actually, Nathan's here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Bring him on.
Nato! What up, Nate?
Welcome to the Serengeti.
Oh, gosh.
What's going on, Nate?
I'm doing all right. How y'all doing?
Good. We're
Thanks for
good.
having me on, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure
Nick,
you've had a chance to hear us. Tell us about your thoughts on we've reacted. What's your reaction?
My instant reaction, it's giving the Philadelphia 76ers trust the process train. I feel as though we could have gotten a tad bit more in return. I think just getting 2 picks. I'm curious to see how that's going to look. But it's clear that we're going in a different direction. But for me, I want everyone to understand that this is going to require patience and time.
Yep.
I just feel as though what we've seen since 2020, it's just stale. Montez and Chase, if I remember correctly, they bragged about being the one best 2 punch, and I think since they played together, they've only had 15 sacks. I can't defend that. And Sean, we were having a conversation earlier before the show. Sean mentioned this to me about regarding Chase, and some of that is also work ethic. I think kind of also too. In his draft class, there are guys we could have gotten that wasn't a defensive player. I'm not going to go off the rail on that, but
who could they have gotten?
Justin Jefferson was there. CeeDee Lamb was there. DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, Cole Kmet.
None of those guys were talked about as a top 5 pick, though, right?
No, right. But I'm just saying those are guys I think we could have said, well, because at that time, Sean had mentioned this, and he brought up a good point. We could have worked on the offense a little bit more because we kind of already had a defense that was
right.
Decent, like don't bend but don't break.
Yeah,
they could have worked on the other side of the ball. So
it was a luxury pick. You're absolutely right, and I think it was a pressure pick because we didn't need to draft another defensive lineman. But there was too much narrative of this is a generational talent, and now you either are getting Joe Burrow or you're getting Chase Young. Which one of these generational players are you going to get? And so it was almost just like you had to go in and get this guy. I kind of want to push back on something you said though about patience. I don't agree with that, and I'll tell you why. You now have 5 picks in the top 100 of the draft next year. You have $85 million in cap space. I don't think I don't see this as a 3-year rebuild. I think you bring in a new general manager and some new football operations guys and a new coach and say, I've got money, I've got draft picks. Let's go fix the roster. So I don't see this as needing to be patient. I think it was they are looking for the future instead of making a run at a 7th place and making a wild card. I view this as we're moving on to next year.
Whoa! Now you got too much dip on your chip, huh?
I'm a little confused. So the reason why I said patience because whoever the next, let's keep it. I think it's fair to say that Ron and Jack won't be here next year.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. Okay. I'm just looking at what you have to work with. Let's on the defensive side of the ball. Okay. Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Emmanuel Forbes, St. Juice.
Yeah.
What else does the next defensive core have to work with? And on top of that, how can you change, especially knowing the history of Washington when it comes to free agency? Like, what are the number one goals? Because there's others. I mean, the Washington needs everything, including the kitchen sink. Need to retool their offensive line. I think they need to work on the safeties. linebackers. They need a lot. And the reason why I say that is because there may not be that guy in the draft in the free agency. I mean, example could be Patrick Queen, but someone. I just feel like you kind of have to do a mixture of drafting and free agent signing. And it's going to take those guys to mesh at least a year or two.
Oh, definitely. I think, but right now going into it, Washington has like the top 3 in terms of cap space. So yeah, no, there are holes that need to be filled. Whoever comes in as the to run the front office and to run the team as the head coach really needs to look at what scheme's going to work, what players are going to fit that scheme versus what do we have here and can they make it work. And so they are going to need to bring in some players. But now that you're not having to allocate 20 to 25 million on one of these 2 defensive ends, you could look at another corner. You can look at another linebacker. You can mix that in with offensive line and the draft. And you're right. There's a lot of pieces that need to be replaced, but we're talking $85 million, and how contracts go where you can, make contracts creative. And so you can get some players plus 5 picks in the top 100. There's an opportunity to bring in some impact players if you get the right guys picking these players.
There it is.
But then that goes on front office too. It's what is the vision? What is is everyone united on this particular guy? Is example, it was Chase Young, a Dan Snyder pick, or a Ron Rivera pick. You know what I'm saying? It can't be one of those with the new regime. You're throwing out hypotheticals of something we don't know right now because we don't know who Josh Harris is going to be bringing in to be running this team and what type of cohesion is going to come from that. Look at the fact that like when the Giants brought in from the Bills, they brought in the Bills assistant general manager who then brought in the Bills offensive coordinator, someone he knows, to build that roster so they could be on the same page. So these are questions we can't answer until January of 2024. Absolutely, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm okay. I mean, I'm not surprised it would happen.
Yeah.
I knew something was going to happen. I just don't like the value we got.
What would you have liked?
I would at least like at least 2/3, maybe a second and a third. At least something. Either both. Like example, I could have gotten like a third and the next year 4th or something like that for Chase. Or maybe
what if that wasn't offered?
Yeah,
that's fair. Y'all got me there.
I mean, but even still, and you and I talked about this earlier, Nathan. Does he warrant that? Has his play over the last most recently has his play warranted a second or a third or 2 picks?
No, absolutely not. And some of that is also warranted in fairness. I gotta hold Ron and Jack accountable for that. But you've got a player that kind of comes in with that mindset of my job is to sack the quarterback and not put the team first. And that's not the guy I want on my team.
Right.
And I don't know, and I'm not gonna lie, like that's another. I'm leaving alone with Ohio State, but I just don't. No.
Yeah, I think you're right though. What you said, the team they got almost. It seems bad about it, but we got pressured into. You gotta get this guy. Yes, he's a luxury pick, but you can't say no if this guy turns into the next Lawrence Taylor and you passed on him for what would Tua be Tua if he was in DC? Even though Dan Snyder wouldn't have let that happen anyway. But it's like if you passed on this talent, that's almost even worse. But like you said, it's over, and it's an organizational mistake that they all made. They all failed. Collectively. Chase failed, Jack failed, Ron failed together. They could never get on the same page to make this work.
Let's not forget Martin Mayhew. He failed too.
Martin Mayhew was not here for the draft, though. He didn't draft Chase Young.
Jason Wright. I'm sorry.
They weren't there either.
I can't think of his name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this was Kyle Smith that was involved in the draft.
Thank you. That's what I'm okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Front
Now,
office decisions something like that.
Yeah.
right. Now, who do you think from an other team's perspective, Nathan? Who do you think did better with this one, Chicago or San Fran?
Well, San Francisco, because they kind of have a more pieces in place. You know, now he's going to play alongside his boy Nick Bosa, Brad Varner, and those guys.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be a little bit. I think he's going to be put in line of more of team first. Montez, I think it's just a rental for them. I think he isn't. I think he could definitely. They could definitely use some a guy of his caliber to buff up the pass rush. But I think San Francisco.
Yeah, definitely. Chicago's a head scratcher, man. Like you said, if this is a rental and you just gave up a second round pick, the only thing I can think of is their thoughts are by getting him in our building, by getting him into our schemes, he will say, I want to stay here. That we wouldn't get that in that same opportunity in free agency, which it could work. But I'm also like you got 9 games of this guy and you're not making the playoffs.
Right.
What are you trading for?
Yeah. It's gonna be rough over there. It's gonna be interesting. But yeah, I definitely agree. San Francisco won this trade. And I guess the only question is now we still have 9 games remaining?
Yes.
Yeah, 9 games remaining. What happens here?
We just go out there and we still play. Last time I checked, guys still get checks. You go out there and you play with the best effort you can give game in and game out. Nothing changes. I saw a clip where Ron pulled the guys together on the field. I don't know. You couldn't hear what he said, but still gotta go out there and do your job.
Yep.
You know, that nothing changes. If you don't want that, we can make something happen for you. We can grant you a release. But this is a good opportunity for KJ Henry, Andre Jones Jr., Jason Hill to prove their worth. Guys, 7th round out.
Jason Hill.
I can't defend that, but no, but I'm serious. This is a good opportunity to see what some young guys can do, and even some guys that are on other teams, second, third team stringers can do.
Definitely.
So this is an eval.
Yeah.
So
this is also hey Jack, you just lost your top 2 pass rushers. Show me how you're gonna handle this too. Show me your creativity.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's my point, Nathan. That's what. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying, that was my question. That was my point. I had asked. I can hear myself in your head. I had asked Will before. With Montez and Chase both gone, it kind of shows the writing on the wall. We've all been very vocal about JDR and Ron not being here. So I'm kind of asking from that perspective. You're coming in the locker room, you see your top 2 guys out the door. You know that Ron and them are pretty much out the door. I mean, can you play for that? Like, how am I gonna get hyped up if I know I'm gonna potentially be here next year, but you're not gonna be here next year? How do they keep the guys together at that point?
I mean, it's all conversation. Again, whether they were traded, cut, it doesn't matter. It's next man up mentality. Like, I mean, I think it's fair to say I think they lost some of the locker room.
Sure.
They're just going to go out there, but you still have to go out there and give effort. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you like I said, you just have that conversation with your players. Some guys don't want to hear it. That's them. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you still go out there and do your job.
Yeah.
You know what I think? I think Sean just wants to get out there and buy a Casey Hill jersey. All he does is talk about how good he is.
Let's go. CT. My guy. Let's get it. All right, man. Hey, Nate, big dog. I appreciate you. I know you were rushing home after work just to be on here. We appreciate you giving in your 2 cents, my guy.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Is there anything we can look forward to from you? I know you're really busy with work, but
just I got to do some recaps for the Ravens and Commanders this week. Maryland women's and men's basketball is approaching. But really, college basketball is here. Thank God the World Series is over. I got an idea for the. I'm currently working on the WNBA mock draft for next year. A couple players have already said that they're staying. So, yes.
You do you, man. Hey, how bad do you think the Terps are going to lose this week to Penn State?
Oh God, I forgot about the Terps. The football team. Right now, I'm still kind of like, this is their week. They got to prove something. Because they start out 5-0, and then I'm like, where's that team? And
they may not make the bowls.
I know. This is definitely they gotta come out and give you something.
Yeah. How bad are they hung over from the Northwestern game? Because I was totally shocked.
Yeah, bad.
I don't know if it had to do something with someone getting arrested. And maybe it's just a mixture of freshmen. That offensive line at times can be very weird. I just don't get it. So I don't think they're hungover. I just think they're just not executing plays. And some of that's on locks, and some of that's on the players too. So they got Penn State to get it right. I think they're going to come out and play, but if they don't win this game, I do expect something to happen after this year. I'm not calling for Mike Loxley's job. I'm not saying that, but I think there's going to have to be some type of a change on the offensive side of the ball.
I think you need to tell your boy Chuck Douglas that this is why he doesn't post in September. Why is Talia not being considered for the Heisman? That's what I think you need to say. Because if Talia loses this game and the offense doesn't look bad, I think you might need to start looking at Billy Edwards.
I agree. But also, too, realistically, we are already coming out of transfer from Alabama. I already knew some of the weaknesses, that he's has, and he still shows it. He's definitely going to struggle in the pros if he doesn't hit the error of his ways at times. I think he does. I think he just does entirely too much. And I was hoping that these guys that were coming in this year, particularly coaches, would reel him in. But it's kind of like, no, just let him do what he wants. And I get it. He's practically the king of football records there, but it hurts, man.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You see the criticism, and his ceiling is only so high.
So I'm gonna hold out hope. I think Maryland can win by 7, but they can lose. I said they can lose by 10
or 20.
It's gonna be interesting. Honestly, I think if you guys get out to a fast start, I think you guys might be able to at least hang with them. I've noticed in at least 3 or 4 of those games, Penn State got out to slow starts. They also struggled early against Illinois, Northwestern. Obviously, we saw what happened against Ohio State. But if y'all get out early, maybe that'll help you. Shout out to Zagner Productions, the king of Palmetto State, Mr. Left Hand Up, and Mr. All the Time, Anytime.
Yeah.
What's up, Andy? All right, Big Nate. We appreciate you, my guy.
Thank you for having me on, fellas. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nate.
Absolutely.
Yep. Have a good night.
We'll talk to you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is.